LA Natives
Oh,
podcast. Las Atzlan.
oh, what up, LA Natives community? Once again, we are here Wednesday, dedicated to our community, bringing relevant artists, talented artists, and today we have Brother Sicko Soldado today in the house.
Que show Sicko Soldado right here representing with the homies from LA Natives,
Absolutely.
Mr.
How you been?
Zero, Mr. Armando. I've been good, man. Just, trying to, like I said, stay busy and just grinding like you were talking a little bit earlier
Yeah.
about, not just being not just being a worker, but an owner.
Yeah, yeah.
And working towards that goal, of course,
Right.
because, a lot of us don't learn that till later on in life.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
'Cause we
Well,
had to.
it's
we
either
had
you're
to
born
kinda-
into it or you make it for your generation.
Exactly. We had to kind of like go through our mistakes
Right.
to get to, okay, let me see what I'm doing wrong. Let me try to.
Yeah. Put it together.
Exactly.
No, God knows more than that. I mean, I hate to use that word God. It's like such a habit. But I know exactly what you're talking about because, the investments I made with other groups and,
Exactly.
studio. Do you know how many studios I've built? My partner will tell you, shout out Jenny. She'll tell you, God, you built like 5 different professional studios and a limited amount of albums. And I don't know, we can look at them as mistakes, but if you don't repeat them, then they're not really mistakes. They're just kind of growing pains that you need to do. You need to do that when you're a recording artist, when you don't have a record deal, right? You need to go and build your own fucking studio.
I mean, at the same time, too, is like you're not sitting around waiting for somebody else to do it for you. You're actually like researching it. You're doing stuff to to create, and even if it's not the best quality, but at least you're taking the steps towards getting there, because you can't just start with sick ass fucking equipment,
Right.
or badass verses. Like it takes time. You gotta write. You gotta sit there. You gotta create and take the time to actually study your craft, and it's not just about rapping. It's about like learning how to promote or
Exactly.
market, and
Yeah.
and like you're saying, like you build so many studios, and it was like you just learn different things, like
Well, yeah, because
like
each
about
studio
sound
brought something. Like
equipment,
the
where-
first studio I built, I did Victory's album and Jaguar Prophecies, probably the biggest albums that I'm known for.
nice.
And then the second studio made Evolution and another one of Victor's records. And then the third studio did my solo career. So every studio, it's not like, oh my God. I guess when it's a bad habit as an artist to go, oh, I didn't make $1 million. I don't have $1 million. I didn't have a
Exactly.
record deal. Like that. That's not. I came to a conclusion a long time ago that if you're gonna do music and do it independently, it is about building your own little production suite. And if you have traction with it, if it's viral, if it has momentum, Armando would talk more about this because he knows when he sees an artist have momentum, then you maximize it. You know what I mean? And then take it to a little bit more professional.
Exactly.
Mix downs and more investment, right?
It's just like anything. It's a process. Like you can't skip certain steps.
Yeah.
It's like what you can't go from not like just not practicing the straight recording, or not having to rewrite shit,
Or fucking performing without practicing.
there's some songs that you don't even want to use anymore. Like like we recorded, we did this, we did that, we wrote for it, whatever. But then it's like I don't even want to use it.
Yeah.
But it's just like life. Everything's a process. It's just sometimes we just get frustrated. It's just like anybody, just like any artist or any regular person, you get frustrated that shit's not going the way you're doing it, because you're putting your whole heart into this shit, and then it's still not getting you nowhere. But in the same way, it's still like, at least for me, it's still making me feel like, hey, I'm at least pursuing what I want to, even though I might not be as successful as I want to, but at least I'm doing what I said I was gonna do.
You know,
Well, you have it in you, just like Zero.
Exactly.
You've paved the grounds of LA long enough to where people like myself know about you. Zero knows about you. A lot of people know about you. One thing that does stand out is the sticker game. I love it. A lot of artists don't do that. A lot of artists, expect, people to memorize a certain figure or a name just because. But no, I love artists like yourself that take it to a whole new level and understand the slap game is so important.
Yeah. Well, I just picked that stuff up like we were talking about earlier. It's like as you go, you learn like certain little things that people like or they don't like, and I just feel like sometimes with the stickers, they're even if you don't like it, you want to stick it somewhere. So you're just it's a win-win because
it's like your style though. It's like for me when I see
throw it away.
When I see you, and just for the record, I've known Sicko Soldado since he moved here, right? From
pretty much
like the first year you moved here.
I actually knew about you guys through the Pass the Mic documentary. Through shout out to Sal Rojas with the Brown Pride and all that. And
that was a big platform back then.
And I was like, damn, that's tight. You've got to be in a movie. And I seen like different artists out of LA, and I was like, damn, I gotta go out there.
Right.
Man. That
What
shit
movie is
sick.
this, Zero?
There's a
like a documentary
called Pass the Mic that they did a long time ago. We'll have to research it. But yeah, man, I met you when you first came from and you were doing things with Chemo,
Yes.
right? And
it all started through Chemo, and just like any other artist, I was a young kid, like I wanted.
Shout out Delinquent Habits.
Exactly. Chemo, Black Skin, Delinquent Habits, Dead Silence. And I was just a kid, man. I just loved hip hop. And at the time, I was living in Colorado. And I'd been there for a few years already. But I was still young. I was like 17, 18. And then I was like 19, 20. And then we seen through brownpride.com back in the day, it was no social media type of thing. So we seen a flyer for Delinquent Habits performing at the Tiki Bar in I believe it's in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
And me and my ex at the time, we're like, dude, we gotta roll. And it took us like 17 hours.
Holy fuck, you drew
Straight.
from Colorado. Wow.
All the way out here.
Those stories right there, bro. When you finally find the success that you want,
Yeah,
those are the ones that you're gonna like cherish.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because, and we were like, fuck it. And we had to be back by Monday. So it took us a whole day to get here. As soon as we get here, we take a shower and go to the venue.
What?
And it was a little bar. And not to diss or nothing, but there wasn't a lot of people there. So we're like, dude, are they actually coming? Or it's like, is this show happening?
Right.
But, we're
Was
new
it
to
fake?
LA. We're thinking like, damn, fucking the LA show must be cracking. It's fucking gonna be sold out. There's no gonna be no room and this and that. But when we get there, it was pretty empty. But then, as time progresses, as you stay in LA and you go to different shows, you understand that the shows in LA are not the same as in other different states or different cities.
That's interesting.
And
That's interesting that you have that perspective because you come from outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Out here, it's like doesn't start till 10. Even if it says fucking 8 o'clock, no one's gonna show up till like 10.
But it was at the same time I didn't understand. I was young. I was a small venue. It's not like they did have shows where they were like sold out, which is like the low rider shows and stuff like that. I was like, damn, there was like thousands of people there. But this particular show, it was a small venue, which it happened to be cool because once we did see that they got there, there was nobody there to be like, hey, let me get an autograph. Hey, let me fucking talk to you, this and that. So we rolled up to Chemo. I was like, damn, that's Chemo. That's fucking OG. That's Weddle. So we're like, hey, man, we drove all the way from Colorado to come see you guys. And they're like, "What? You guys can't fucking come to the back? We're fucking chilling." Boom. They started like, "Hey, you guys want to smoke?" I was like, "Hell yeah, that's fucking sick."
I can't tell you how, as an artist, when someone travels that far to see you.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, you went far. Like, the last show we had at the Catch One, remember? They came from San Francisco and San Jose. And they're like, we're here to see you. And it's like LA
That's
natives. And so it feels amazing that your art has penetrated that way. And so that's cool. It's a cool story to kind of know that, you know,
And that's kind of how it all started. And I was like, damn, like, it was just cool. Like, it's all about, like, I was just doing it because I love hip hop. You know what I mean? Because I love the music, and I was just.
Well, you wanted to break into the industry.
A fan,
as well.
you know what I mean? A fan of just the music. First off, not I was like, oh, I want to be a rapper. I was like, damn, this is dope. I want to be a part of it.
I remember talking to you and going, dude, it's gonna be a long road. It's like it's not. It doesn't just open up. Like,
of course not.
And
I mean, for certain people, there's, you know, it just depends.
But those
you know
people,
what I mean?
but those people that do that, those people that do get those type of breaks, they're compromising. You know what I mean?
To a certain extent, yeah.
They compromise, or they have a relative or someone. It's not. They don't just give away millions of dollars to people. You got to be really savvy to do it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's there. It's just, you know, it's just, you just got to be out there to do it too. And sometimes I got to be real with myself. Sometimes there's times where I'm being lazy because I was focused on other shit. Even still now, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but even before it was more like partying, doing this, doing that, versus me like, okay, let me fucking get my game right so I could stack up and fucking, you know, do some investments here, do some shit there, and think about being an owner, like you were saying earlier, instead of just an employee.
Right.
And just, you know, investing in like my music and my merch and you know, but still having a job. And
during our era of music, like, or our height of music, when we were like actually throwing down money for things and stuff, it was much different than it is now. Yeah, like now your phone, your clout, your friends, your little 15-second of a whatever can make you into something that's like, you're not even, that's like, you know, those rappers that have one hit song or not even a hit song. Like, oh, you know, it's a good example is 6ix9ine.
Yeah.
He was more famous for all the bullshit he did.
Of course.
And he happened to make fucking music, right, Armando? So he was more about the bullshit. And that's where I mean, like, we didn't have those type of resources because when we started, I know when you printed shirts when you moved down here, it was a shitload of, and there was minimums, and it wasn't like, oh, I'm the direct to garment. Just give me 4. You know, it's like it's not like that no more. It was never like that for us. Like you had to buy like, oh no, you got to buy like fucking 6 dozen, bro. And
then that's, but at the same time, I guess that's a good thing because even I remember times where Kimo would tell me like, I was like, hey, Kim, how do you do this and shit on Photoshop or whatever? He's like, hey, you're going to have to learn. Look on fucking, you know, look shit up. Like, that's how I did it. Just fuck around. You know what I mean? Do it. And I was like, fuck it. So that's when I started doing it and then, like, learning how to make my own little flyers and shit and then my own little designs. Yeah. And learning about, you know, making your own silk screen and fucking, now I can print one fucking shirt. Now I can print 30 shirts and I don't have to pay nobody. But then it's like a learning process because you're like, oh, I need a fucking 8 fucking color printer. It's like, no, you don't. You just need one. Boom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
one color, one
just
size.
Stack your shirts. You don't have to print fucking 50 of them at the same time. And
you know who was a good example about merchandise and keeping it organized? And was a great example for independent artists was at Quinto Sol from Milwaukee. Yeah, they like I remember seeing videos on YouTube when YouTube was breaking, and they would do videos, and I'd see their warehouse, and it would be like larges, mediums, designs, like all designs, all organized, ready to go, ready to ship. Those guys were on their shit,
and they still are. Yeah, man. Like it's just a different era now. It's like you don't have to do that no more. Just get a website where they print it for you, they ship it for you, they do the design for you.
Yeah, and you get a royalty of $5 or whatever it is, however you set the price.
You're gonna make $5-10 anyway, even if you go do it yourself. You know what I'm saying?
At the end of the day,
you're gonna spend time going to buy the shirt, taking it to the print shop or printing it yourself, putting the ink, drying it, sending it out, shipping it out.
the labor is definitely an
a
issue of
process.
it. But I think what really hurts us, I don't think it's the labor. I think it's the giveaways, because you have to give it away. You know, oh, here's an album. Here's a shirt. Here's an album.
To
here's
be
a shirt.
honest, I've gotten to a point where I was like, I'm not giving my work away no more.
No, but in the beginning,
Oh, no,
yeah, that's what I mean.
was throwing away shirts.
That's
left and right.
that's
like,
what I
what
mean.
the
Is like
fuck?
in the beginning, you're investing so much money, right?
Yes.
And then you end up, oh well, my homie wants one, or I'm gonna give it away, and you're fired up,
$10
and then
a
you're like,
shirt,
fuck, now I'm $300 in the
$3 a
hole.
CD.
Yeah, it's like but nowadays I'm very, very strict about like, you
And
know,
it's not about being strict either. It's just about, you're investing your money into it. At least, pay me what I put into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not in a bad way or in a cocky way, but at least, I'm doing this and I gotta value my merch.
Yeah.
I gotta value my music. It's not like something that fucking took me a minute to make.
Yeah.
I had to sit down and write it, go to the studio, record it,
Right.
send it to get mixed and mastered, and then fucking
design the cover.
design the cover, take a fucking video, shoots, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And then for me to be like, okay, here. You
Yeah.
can have it. It's like, at least give me $10, bro. You know
I
what I'm
love
saying?
that explanation, bro, because I think the LA native audience will understand and respect the independent artist's grind, because it's not an easy one. It's not an easy one, definitely. But with persistence, consistency, new material, new designs, remaking of the old designs and old things, and knowing that in that process of learning, you did have value, because I know that I still have silk screens from El Vuh that I know if I will, okay, cool, I'm going to print 20 of them.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you should, because you don't even have to print 20. You can print like one and be like, hey, I got these new designs.
Right.
And they're like, hey, I want one. And the way I do it is I take pre-orders, because that way I know for sure it's a sold shirt.
Yeah.
Versus me
Smart.
taking over like $30 and have it there,
Right.
and waiting for somebody. Maybe somebody doesn't want the large.
Right.
Of course, they don't want the one you have printed. They want
Yeah.
a different one, different color, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, okay, what color you want, what size, what style. Boom. Okay, now send me $30. This is including posters, pins, stickers, shipping. Boom.
See, that's a very smart way of doing
And
it.
then I go print it. You know what I mean? Because there's times where I'll get 3 orders. There's other times where I get 1. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just do the 1.
And that's a good gift bag right there. A sticker, poster.
But it's
an
like I
album
said,
maybe,
like I was saying,
you know?
it's not making me a lot of money. But like you're saying, if you stay consistent and you stay persistent, one is gonna make you $5, but 100 of those
Yeah.
is gonna make you more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
1,000 of those is just like a download. So it's like, okay, one's gonna make you, 20 cents. But what if you go viral and you get 2 million? You know, I was watching this stuff on YouTube about videos, and shout out to, you guys doing your videos and stuff on YouTube, where this guy, he was explaining that, 2 million views on his YouTube in 4 months created like a revenue of like 70 grand. Of course, it made them millions, but the percentage for him was, not even 100,000. I think he made him like 32 million, and then his little cut was like 70K or whatever. And that's if you go viral, but at the same time, like, it's good to know certain shit like that.
But I think when you get 2 million views, and this is evident in the new artists that have been emerging from Los Angeles, right? Like the Gavilans, the Reveries, those
And
individuals.
it's got to be a certain time limit and all that stuff too. It's not
Well,
like
I mean, what
right
I'm
away.
saying is that they get millions of videos, but they also sell lots of shirts.
Yeah, no,
Because
that's
their
a great
exposure,
combination.
that exposure.
And that's
so,
the way you want to do it. You know,
yeah.
it's just
The
you know,
70 grand that you get from YouTube just because of the views
That's
is like
dope.
icing on the cake. Okay, cool, the
Exactly.
cherry on top. But
Exactly.
how many shirts did I sell during that 2 million
or how
video
many,
run?
you know, shows did I get booked? or
Exactly.
other
Monetizing it.
events that I went to where you know I did different pop-up shops, but you know it's about learning too. As you grow, you start learning, you start seeing different things. I mean, you know, it's like you said earlier in life, it was the information was kind of not as available now, whereas now you got people on TikTok giving you ideas.
Yeah.
You know, and telling
Well-
you, okay, these younger kids are like, hey, this is the way you build your shit. This is the way you build followers. This is the way you do this. You do reels. You do this. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. And then, you know, you start learning shit as you're growing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like there's a lot of people that quit a long time ago. At least for me, the way I tell myself, I was like, I haven't quit yet, and I don't plan on quitting. You know what I mean?
Music, once you do it in that way, that you're like, okay, this is the process. Go write, record. There's a system to what you're doing. Right now, there's a shirt. Now there's a post and a video. If you don't do, sometimes people stop at I recorded, and that's it. Like they didn't go to their social media. They didn't make a shirt. They didn't do.
And to a certain extent, I was the same way.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that's what I was saying. Like, you know, we all at that time where we're like, fucking, I'm chilling. Like, if there's time to kill, I'm fucking just kicking it, smoking weed. Where now it's like I'm kicking and smoking weed, watching a tutorial, or like building some shit, trying to learn some new shit, so that I could, you know, use it in my life, not just learn about it, but actually, you know, enforce it and put it into practice.
Right.
Versus just saying, oh yeah, I already know. Well, if I really did know, then why am I not doing it?
Right.
Why am I not where I want to be if I already know what the fuck I need to do?
You know, when you said that, it reminded me of like people who have done great things musically, right? Or have gone successful.
Yes.
A lot of it has to do with connections and compromises and this, that, and the other. But you can't escape when you lock yourself into that studio and just do something that no one else does. Like when I did Jaguar Prophecies, it was like 14-hour days by myself in a studio. Like I don't spend 14 hours a day in any room by myself, but you're like so fixated with the art that's happening. So that kind of a focus brings these results that are either monetary or popularity or, you know, whatever it is that comes with that.
And you're absolutely right, because, you know, it's a craft. It's just like anything else in life, you know. It's you got to practice it. And it's not going to, I mean, when it's a craft, it's not going to, for some people, it might come out right away. You know, they might be more natural than you. But others, we got to build. We got to practice. We got to fucking paint 30,000 paintings before we get that one where, like, damn, that shit is dope. You know what I'm saying?
And then
or
when
get
you
to that point where
the
you
real good
pain
artists
do all
and the
this.
real good artists get to that point where it's like, damn, that's dope. I gotta do better, and I'm gonna get more, and they just obsess more and more. It's almost like it's an obsession.
Yeah,
It's
it
an
is.
obsession.
But it's always healthy to keep a balance too. You know what I mean? And it's like there's times too where, you know, I do it to stay disciplined in certain ways. Like, say, for example, writing. There's days where I don't feel like writing. I don't want to write. But I tell myself, you know what? I'm going to take an hour and I'm going to write whatever the fuck comes out.
See, that's good.
And just do it. And once I start writing, I'm like, that's not that bad. Then I start kind of building, and then I get it on a beat, and I start just recording. And that's what I've been doing lately, just every single day, either writing a verse, writing a hook, writing a verse, writing a hook.
Nice.
It's every single day.
That's dope.
To a certain extent, but at the same time, every single day I tell myself I'm learning new things. I'll go on TikTok, I'll go on Instagram and use it towards my advantage. Whereas like I'm learning about, okay, how can I promote myself? How can I, build my audience? How can I, sell more merch, or even just invest money in different companies or different ideas that I have, or you know what I mean? Just strategizing.
Well, it's good to have
building.
several sources of income. When that's one thing I also learned about being an artist is that, you have to set up different. So you could do this peacefully, like the music thing.
Yes.
Do it peacefully without the stress of like, oh my God, I gotta fucking pay this person or whatever. You have to have several streams of income. And that's why.
No, I agree.
And merch falls into one of those streams, but if you're not good at it,
Merch, getting your songs on like a TV show,
on
a movie.
You got some stuff on the
and that happened through
Netflix.
chemo, and a lot of this stuff too I learned through chemo, and he always put me up on game.
That's cool. You had a mentor
about publishing, about getting on ASCAP. Even though I had to do it myself, it's a process too. It's like you go on ASCAP. What's your name? This and that. Boo, boo, boo. Like how many songs? Who's the writer? What's their fucking ASCAP?
Right.
What's this? It's a process to get your information in there, but it's just like anything.
It's like filling out forms.
It's worth it because your song gets on a TV show. Let's say it becomes a hit. Now they're syndicated in different countries, and now you're getting paid. And that's how some artists, are still making the money. Is the show keeps getting syndicated, and you keep getting royalties over and over again.
Yeah.
For the same song that you did, 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's another way of making money too.
Well, one of my homies
Off the music.
that was managing El Vuh for a while, he wanted the direction to go towards making the songs so that they can be placed in films, right? Because we're not gonna make money selling CDs and shirts. We're gonna make money putting this thing on a fucking movie, getting them to give us royalties for every time.
Yes.
A commercial, whatever. He was into that.
Well, that's good, and that's just one way.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna get, you might get one, but it doesn't mean it's gonna happen every month or every year.
Sure.
Or you know what I'm saying.
You might just get one.
You might just get one.
Yeah.
But maybe just that one is gonna feed you for the rest of your life. But you just never know, man. And it's about like just getting your shit out there, like you're saying. Just it's like product placement. Just give it to the right people, and then hope it takes off. You know what I mean?
And you have to be organized, and being organized is signing up to ASCAP, having your publishing, straight. All that's a process.
And that's why I think a lot of artists quit, or just. Not just artists in music, but just artists in different crafts, is that they love it and they're good at it. But then once it comes to the other part of it, which is writing shit down, going through the process of filling shit out, talking to these people, going to certain places, networking, building they're like, I don't want to do that. I just want to do this part.
Yeah.
And that's why they're like, you know what, it's going to be too much. I'd rather just, go back to work.
Yeah.
Just do my own thing over here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So it's definitely a grind as an artist to maintain it, keep yourself motivated.
Definitely. I think that's the hardest part is just, because you're your worst critic and you're like, damn, I should be doing this. I should be over here. You know what I'm saying? And I tell myself, I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, fuck, I didn't do it. But at the same time, I'm telling myself, you know what? I got to stay on top of what I say to me. Like if I said, hey, I'm going to come do this interview, even if I'm late, even if I said I'm going to do it, I'm fucking doing it. Regardless of what happens, I get a flat tire, I need to get towed over here, fuck it, dog. I'm doing it. I said I was going to do it, especially when it comes to my music. Something else was a little bit different. Like somebody from work says, hey, you want to go to a barbecue? If some shit happens, I'm going back home or whatever.
Right.
But if it's something to do with music, a show, an event or whatever, I'm fucking definitely going to,
It takes that fire. It takes that fire to do it and still be on that independent grind and and kind of breaking even and doing all that. So I know I'm the same way, but I love it so much that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's how I feel. It's like it's all about the experience. About it's like, damn, dude, I get to be around dope ass artists at a sick ass fucking event. Like there was times where we were at the House of Blues, and it's like that's like a fucking venue where Tupac performed, where different fucking artists were on that same stage kicking it, the same backstage with Cypress Hill and this and this. It's like, damn, this shit is sick. I might have not gotten paid for it, but nobody's gonna take away that experience
Absolutely.
of me being at the show, at the event, fucking like being backstage smoking blunts with fucking Cypress Hill and shit. It's like, damn, as a kid, I was like, damn, this is sick right here. Dog.
Right.
Like, I still get excited.
Well, a lot of relationships are built backstage, right? Zero,
Absolutely. That's where you meet the important people. Like I said, it's not just your talent. You have to meet the right people, and,
it's definitely
some
good
people,
to
some
network.
some people say, "Hey, look at this guy," and you know what? Everybody's trying to monetize this. It's not nothing new.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like if somebody of management or some movie placement guy, commercial placement guy likes you and he likes your music, you're gonna get something. You're gonna get a shot.
I seen this guy Russ. He was talking about that same thing, where he's friends with the guy that runs Apple and the guy that runs Spotify. So, all those guys are giving him a better deal because they're like his homies.
Yeah.
They're gonna put him up on game. Like, hey, do this, do that. I know you're independent. You can still stay independent. We're gonna, hook you up. But it's just taking the time, and it's a sacrifice, man. It's like, because we all got, there's me personally. I don't have that, but there's people that have their families. They can't do this. They got a serious job where they only get a couple hours off of work or whatever, and it's not for everybody either, but it's just jumping in there too, and it's a sacrifice. You're not gonna be. You can't have both. You can't have a badass job and still fucking be successful at your dream job.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
like it's kind
I
of.
mean, it happens, but it's very rare.
The way I look at it is like the group Hieroglyphics, right?
Yes.
They're like super underground. You hear them now, and it's like if they come out now, they'd like blow up because they were that far ahead of their time.
Yes.
But you could tell with their stories and the documentaries that I've seen and things that, they're not multimillionaires, or maybe they are, maybe some of them are or whatever, but it's not like they're mainstream is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
They're more like Atmosphere, right?
There's-
Atmosphere's successful. He does his tours, he makes his money.
Hey, and that's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
Is I don't want to be like fucking.
Snoop Dogg or
I mean, if it happens, great. But my thing is to stay in the middle.
Yeah.
Where I'm making a living off of my craft, off of my music, off of my merch, and being able to invest in different things. And it takes time. It's just like anything. But at the same time, now, like you're saying, I got other sources of income where I can invest in or make money in. I'm just not counting on my music. But that way, if I come and get some money over here, then I can invest it over here now. You know what I mean?
everything I get from music that I've ever gotten has always gone right back to it. It's like gambling. It's like, it's like, oh, cool. Armando paid me for my show. Yeah, I gotta pay shirts now. It's like gamble. Here you go. It's like, but in the long run, it does pay off because people do buy the merch. We have an LA Natives community. Look at them. They're fired up on
Shout
the
out.
chat.
So speaking on the music, Sicko, Soldado, like we have a packed house right now. For people who are unfamiliar, who don't recognize your style of hip hop, what you put out, your message, for the people who listen to you for the first time, how can you describe their experience?
For the most part, it's like the beginnings of the roots of me has always been like a revolutionary thing, like Emiliano Zapata, Pancho Villa, and that underground scene where I'm talking about, where I grew up, the streets I came up in a way where it can be more inspiring to people versus just like a nuisance. You know what I mean? It's like it's like when I would see Pancho Villa or Emiliano Zapata, I'd be like, damn, that's fucking dope. These guys are sick ass fools. Like they got 500,000 fools under them. Like it's crazy how they did it, and that's what inspired my music as well. You know, listen to the underground groups, and slowly as I started, you know, being in LA, being in the scene, that's when I started being like, damn, there's more to my culture than just the revolution. Like it goes deeper than this, and that's when I started learning about, you know, the natives and the indigenous and the Mexica, the Aztecs. You know, I was like, damn, this shit is dope. It's something that I felt like, man, I was missing that. And then, you know, as of probably the last, I would say 7 to 8 years, that's when I've been like writing about. And I feel like my music is more like political, kind of conscious music, you know, revolutionary type of music, and street, I would say. It's just a little bit of.
That's a great
both.
combination, right, Zero?
Yeah,
Because you know, to embrace that, it takes a lot. You could have easily just been flaunting guns and wearing gold teeth and putting up an image that you're not, man.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Is like people don't get deals and they don't get these, you know, they get suggestions by managers and people who are trying to push clothing and, you know, things like that, you know, sponsors. There's a back door to everything, right? And what I liked about Sicko Style is the way he cross-branded with other bands. Like when you go to a show, you're like, I'm at this show, and then you tag the person that you're there with or all the groups. Like those are just smart tactics that kind of are it's like the other side of the coin from not knowing or not getting that sponsor or somebody to invest a lot of money in you,
Yes.
like a record label would, right? And then your topics are, you know, everybody has like, I know when we played the Roxy and we were playing all that, we'd play in front of a lot of people, but it was way over their heads.
Yes.
It was like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? What is that? I don't even know I'm Indian. You know, it's like, you know, it's
That's
like.
kind of how I was for a long time.
But when I hear your music, it's very clear and palatable for that group of individuals that are trying to find something.
Yes.
Right? You're like that spark that leads them to many different roads, right?
I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. It's just, you know.
But to the layman's terms, like somebody who's not gonna be all conspiracied out. Maybe he still watches the Dodger game and shit, but then he's like, "Hey, what the fuck are you talking about?"
And I am to a certain extent too, but you know, like I say, I try to balance things out where it's like, okay, this is what I'm learning. But at the same time, it's like there's certain things that you can't change, like, you know, having a phone or having to be connected, having to be on social media, and but at the same time, now I realize like. Now I'm using things to my advantage, like my job or my phone or my car, whatever. Now whereas before I felt like, damn, these fools are taking advantage of me. Like I'm a good worker. I'm fucking, you know, I'm a dope artist. Like, like now I'm like, I'm taking advantage of the situation. Meaning like, when I'm at work, I'm making feria. I'm gonna show up when I wanna show up. I can tell you, hey, tomorrow I'm not coming in. I don't even have to tell you I'm coming in tomorrow. Just don't show up, and not in a bad way either. I'm not gonna, you know, not fulfill what I need to get done, but at the same time, just
you have to have that freedom in a music because you could get a call. Hey, bro, we're in fucking.
I'm gone.
Yeah, that's important.
I had to quit jobs over shit like that.
That is important.
I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like. That's the way I want to live. That's my thing, and you know, even though I'm so gun ho, certain times there's other times where I've just, you know, there's times where you just lax and you're just like, fuck, dude, I gotta, you know, it's like shit's not happening. So you get to that place where you're like, damn, should I just stop doing it? Should I just fucking just chill, kick back, and just get a regular shit? I'm like, Hell no. I can't do that, man.
I've been there too, man.
I gotta just get back on it and be like, fuck that. I'm gonna keep doing it till the wheels fall off.
I mean, the fact that we're at this podcast is Armando telling me, "Hey, can you put the guys together again? Can we make a EP? Can we make something, with the guys?" And I'm like, we just weren't in the same place. Everybody, like El Vuh was, Eric's over here, Victor's over here, I'm over here. I'm telling Armando, dude, everybody's separate. It's not, we tried to come together, but it just wasn't working anymore. So I said, well, fuck it, I'll just keep going, and I did the show. Now I have this podcast. Now I have a couple singles lined up, but I want to do it more. Like I said, it's not, since I have several revenue streams, it doesn't have any pressure to make this music. I'm not in a pressure to make an album. Yeah. I want to really have like that J Electronica kind of career where I just do what I want. Like, I'm just gonna do what the fuck I want. There's no record label on my ass. There's nothing. There's just.
And that's the best time when you make music too. It's just like you just want to create. You're going in there because you want to create. You're not going in there because you need money.
Yeah.
For your lifestyle, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
or for just to live. And that's the cool part about it, is becoming independently financial with other things, where now you can spend time with your music. Now, like you say, you can build a little studio, get your own little microphone, and just do stuff at home like this, like doing the podcast. Being able to come here, you don't have to be like, damn, I gotta call work. Which, if you're doing stuff on your own too, it becomes a little overwhelming, because now you gotta worry about shit.
Well, I guarantee you right now, LA Natives community, that this podcast would not exist if Armando was not running the board. So shout out to Armando. Shout out. That's cool, man. Well, we love
there's
those
something
guys.
I want to say. We have a packed house right now.
Shout
Just
out to
always
everybody.
remember one thing: like the video, share the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Right, Zero?
Absolutely. We need your community. We need you to really just start sharing it with your friends.
Spread the word.
Spread the word, because, we're creating a community of people that are going to take their own sovereignty back. That's the whole premise of this podcast, is to teach each other. I don't have the answer to that. I have lots of directions, but I don't have the answer. Collectively, we have the answer.
Like right now, we have about 30 people watching us live.
Right
Can
on.
you imagine if all these people confirmed that they subscribed,
Absolutely.
and then they would share it to like a friend or a family member?
And somebody that they could sit down and talk about this, because the communication that comes from this podcast to you is meant for you to turn around and go, hey, primo, this guys were talking about this and that and the other. Definitely. And that's how we get to these other levels of learning. And so it's interesting to hear your process and what you write about, how you write and how you view it.
I mean, lately, like I said, I was fooling myself too for a long time, because I was like, oh, I'm an artist, I'm a rapper. But then I'll be like, the only time I would write or rap was when I'm in the studio, or when I'm gonna do an album, And then I was watching this video by J. Cole, and he was like, oh, I wanted to be a basketball player, but I thought I was good. I didn't practice, I didn't do shit. I would just do my shit on the court, play with my homies. But then when I went to a real basketball game with real basketball players, like, I was the lamest one. Because these guys, they're doing their shit every single day. I wasn't.
There's a
I was
routine.
doing it like on a weekend or only these days. And he's like, and that's what I did with my rapping, is like, I started doing it every single day now. Forcing myself to do it even when I didn't want to. And I was like, dude, why the fuck ain't I doing that shit? You know what I'm saying? Why am I not doing that? Getting up and just writing. I'm a writer. I want to create. And I'm a poet. I want to do this. I want to paint. I want to be able to do, these things for myself. Not for anybody else, but just for me. Because I'm like, man, I've been my whole life in LA, pretty much my whole adult life, chasing the dream. And why am I gonna quit now? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like it's not time to quit. It's time to push it even harder.
That's cool that you said the dream, because we sometimes think that the dream is signing a contract, going on tour, and doing all these things, and that's the dream. But the dream isn't that. The dream is doing whatever you need to do as a person that wants to create music by yourself with no support. And making that happen and going, hey, bro, this is my CD. When you gave me your CD at Mariachi Plaza when I met you the first time, I went, this guy took his vision, like his paper, the thoughts he had on paper, the beats. Like it was a big thing to package it up. You know what I mean? That's not easy to. That's not easy to do.
And you know what's crazy about that album is that actually I had to. I didn't have to. Kimo, shout out to Kimo and Lisa. He actually told me, "Hey, look, this is what I'm gonna do for you. You can come stay at my house for like 6 months, and you're gonna pay me, a certain amount, like $400 or $500 a month, something like that. But at the end of the 6 months, I'm gonna give you that money back, so you could, print your album."
Oh wow!
And I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it." So every month I was paying him, and at the end, he's like, "Here's your feria," and I went, I printed the album, I got it all done because everything was already done.
Yeah.
Just needed the packaging because that was like another extra $1,000, $2,000, something like that.
I remember.
And I was like, damn, that's tight. And Kimo, he did me that favor, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna take it. And that's how I got the first album out.
That's cool.
And trip out on this. A week later, I had the boxes in my car. I had like maybe half the boxes in my car in my backseat.
Oh.
I was at work. I come outside, fucking they stole 2 boxes on my fucking seat. I was like, that's just what I fucking needed. But the rest were in the trunk. So I was like, hey, fuck it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And that's just life,
I'm telling you, the giveaways, man. The giveaways.
That's just life, It's just like I was telling you earlier today. It's like the day you got something to do is when everybody wants the shit done right now. And there's a grip of traffic. There's fucking people fucking.
Right.
Everything's trying to stop you from going.
Right.
But I was like, hey, for me, I was like, hey, fuck it. Like I was telling you earlier, I said I was going to go. I'm going to fucking make it. You know what I mean? Whether...
No, I get you. I get what you're saying, because I don't know if you feel this, but when I do a show, any show, I get this nervous feeling at about like 4, where I go, where's my jump drive? Oh shit, I don't have my fucking jump drive. Where's my, it's like it's like it counts down in the seconds, and it's almost like you know where the jump drive is, but you feel like, but wait, what if the music on the jump drive doesn't play when I get there? And you just start going through this really like you described. Everything's telling you, oh, something's going to distract you from getting to this point in this show that you have to do. It's a pretty big show, like especially when they're big shows, when they're like doing the Regent. I was like fucking tripping before I even got there. But once I got there, and even to the point where I gave my fucking jump drive to Survive to play the music, I was like
guessing, like, damn, did I get the right song?
Yeah, or is it on there, or is it gonna fuck up? And it's like, but it's that mentality of what I'm trying to describe is almost everything that you're saying is like, oh, something's gonna stop me from getting to this goal.
Yes.
Or getting to this.
But it could also be the other way around, where it's like everything's that you think was gonna stop you is like they're like somebody.
It lines up.
Yeah, somebody's like pushing everything out of the way so you could squeeze through.
Right.
So you can make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It could be the opposite as well.
Well, that usually happens when you have a good DJ and he knows what he's doing. He has your music, and you're just like, okay, cool. Now I just gotta show up and play.
That's true. But no, man, this is dope that you guys are still doing this podcast, and it's dope that it's somebody that knows about the culture, that's been doing it for a long time. You've been in the community, you've done different events, you've been with different artists from the beginning. It's like I said, you know, that documentary, Pass the Mic, was like, what, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
And you guys were already in it.
Yeah.
You know, you guys were already doing events.
I don't think it was us. It was, I think Victor was in it with Aslan Underground.
It said El Vuh on
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I think Victor was in it with Aslan Underground.
And it also might have been towards the end, too, because they had a bunch of groups, you know, in it.
That documentary, though, was very big in our community. When it came out, it was like, oh, shit, what the fuck, you know?
That was dope. That was dope to see, like,
Because-
Sicko, Delinquent Habits,
Yeah.
you know, El Vuh, Crazy Race.
Everyone that did it when it was in our time to do it, you know, and it was fun.
Shout out to Crazy Race.
Yeah, shout out to Crazy Race and Sal from Brown Pride,
DJ Quad.
DJ Quad,
That's
the
not
Fifth
bad.
Battalion crew. Remember they were
Yeah.
the first ones. They jumped it off pretty big.
The 5th Battalion and Aslan Underground, too.
Aslan Underground, they're the leaders, bro. They're the ones that first
So
started
it
rapping
was a
about
platform.
No, the
It was a
grind.
platform that highlighted what Chicano rap, Mexican rap.
And,
I don't know.
and it's
like,
always about, like, for me, I was always looking for that, though. I was, like, always searching for, like, underground shit because it was rare. You can't find that shit on the radio. I would have to dig, like, like, hey, homie, you know, have you heard of these guys? I would go on the internet and be like, damn, that sounds dope. Like, I would just be, like, supporting all the artists that I wanted to support. Like, it was all, like, Chicano hip-hop or, you know, underground hip-hop, just different things. Like, I was like, damn, I want to fucking support these guys.
Well, it was
You know,
the
buy
beginning.
their CDs, their posters, whatever.
It was the beginning of what we're doing now, Armando, where we got, you know, Dakota Bear, we got me, you got, you know, Jag, you got Azamatli, you got all these indigenous artists that are now in this indigenous hip hop genre, right? It's hip hop that represents our native voice.
Yep.
And the beginning of that was when Sicko Soldado moved down, like 94, or what year did you?
Actually, when I moved to LA, it was around 03.
03.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in 94, that's the movement, like with Aslan Underground
Yes.
and Quinto Sol and
And like I said, that
the
was
Peace
already,
and I think it's the Peace and Justice.
and that's what I'm saying.
Peace
like,
and Justice Center.
you guys were
Ozomatli.
doing that shit, man.
Yeah, not Ozomatli, Ozomatli, the band. Just a movement of reclaiming who we were, and I guess that's what Sicko sings about, right? Reclaiming who you are, who are your heroes.
And not only that, for me, I felt like for a long time I didn't have an identity. For me myself, when like when I was in school, they would be talking about, you know, the Pilgrims or the Indians or the Americans, the Civil War, this and that, and I was like, what am I American or what the fuck? Like, because also my parents too, they were like, oh, my primos in the Marines, you know, this and that, whatever, and it's all U.S. flags and this and that. But then at the same time, I was growing up by the border, which is Juarez and El Paso, and it's like the culture's still there. It's like there was like the Machacines and the Virgen, this and that, different indigenous stuff, especially in New Mexico, you know, in that area, a lot of indigenous stuff. And they took us to like field trips to Santa Fe and this and that, and I was like, damn, but I felt like I couldn't relate. Nobody ever told me, like, not in a bad way. I didn't expect people to tell me, but I just didn't know. I didn't understand. It was never programmed into my parents or their parents. It was more like, you're just a worker. Just go to school, go to get your job. You know, get a degree.
You're lucky if you
and-
get a job.
You know,
You're lucky if you get to work 16 hours a
And then
day.
I
Hard
would want to
labor.
grow my hair out. They're like, oh, no, you got to cut it, you know. And then, you know, going to church was a fucking, I'm sorry if I'm,
No. You can cut.
because it's YouTube. But, you know, growing my hair was a mission. And then going to church, my mom used to force us to go to church. Like, oh, you're going to go to church. I was like, I don't want to go to fucking church. I'm not gonna, I don't want to do that shit. But at the same time, you know, she would force us because that's what they would do to her.
Yeah.
And now then, when I started, you know, knowing about the culture and the history, I was like, damn, like, this makes sense to me now. How we were forced to go to church and stuff like that, and forced to do certain things that we didn't want to, and it's just programmed into you.
Yeah.
Without you realizing it.
Well, I mean,
at least for me,
especially I'm very like, no one taught me either. My mom to this day tells me like, you're weird. Like, why do you have
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm not gonna front. My mom, she'll wear like a U.S. flag freaking shorts, or
right?
something. I'm like, Mom, you don't even know.
Yeah.
But that was strip out of me.
It's called indoctrination. The opportunities, if they came from a migrant family and they were able to go to school, like they were born here or second generation, first generation, whatever, they were able to go to school. Like, they were indoctrinated to believe that America was equal rights and everybody had a voice and nobody gets treated bad. But that was just a lie.
It was just like a farce. Like, just something to just keep you quiet. And,
right. Like, we're all included, but really, no, not really. Not this guy. You have to be white to be a part of that society.
I mean, that's great and everything. I'm not saying like, there's anything wrong with certain things. Because that's the way it is now. It's like, I can't go take it back to where, I wish I could understand, the way the Aztecs lived and the way things were back then with more nature, natural, and this and that. And it's just like now, it's like, you really can't do that if you're in the city. You can't, like, be natural, really, because you got to have your phone, you need a car, you need food. You gotta buy, the way I see it is just like throwaway shit, recyclable shit.
I loosely,
there's certain
I
things
loosely
that,
agree with that, because you're right. In the city, it's unavoidable if you're trying to live like.
I mean, you can just do the minimum. I'm not saying you don't have to do that, but there's a minimum. You don't have to indulge in certain things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where
Look, I think
I'm still learning about the culture stuff.
Well, the culture stuff is it sometimes people think that America and our culture fit like this, like they fit so perfectly, and it's not like that. This part was shattered to unrecognition. That's why you have the void of not knowing your true history. Exactly. You have a feeling. That feeling that's inside of you, which is called your blood, your memory, your genetic memory, it'll tell you.
Makes sense.
This is who you are. This is because you're relating to certain symbols, right? Symbols were important to our culture. That's why when you look at the sunstone, you're like, oh, well, what the heck? I have a connection to that for some reason, But genocide is far more than what they taught us in school. Right.
And that's something, like I said, that I've been learning later on in life, because
because it gets deep.
When you're a kid, first of all, I don't even want to read that shit.
Right.
Because I'm not interested in it.
Right.
But secondly, it's like, as you're growing up, you're rebelling.
Yeah.
You don't even want to know about school or learn about history and there's certain people that were trying to teach you that. Mm-hmm. It's just like, for me, there's certain people that were trying to teach me that. And a lot of that stuff where I would get certain little things from that would be like from my older brothers, my older primos that were in prison. Mm. You know what I'm saying? That was their lifestyle, the Aztecs and the calendars and doing the art and all that stuff. That's where I was like, okay, shit, fucking, this is dope right here. Right. This is sick. And it's crazy because that was the first little things, but never like a story of Tenochtitlan or even just about
the details.
The
There's the details
that they always made us feel like we're like the invaders. Mm. You know what I mean? Where I felt like I wasn't supposed to be here, kind of like I'm like overstepping my welcome here, versus now I understand that, there's no need for me to feel below anybody else, because I'm not at a certain financial structure or even about living in a certain place or a certain area or whatever, or driving a certain car. And that for me is like been the key thing, is just being comfortable in my own skin and knowing that nobody can take my identity again, because I already know.
Well, it definitely
know.
gets challenged because, people with our background who can't go, oh, this is my grandfather and he learned from that person, the lineage of elders, right? You always get challenged with like that feeling you just described where, whoa, I don't really belong here. But belonging in a ceremony or belonging in any native circle or anything, you have to have your own roots into the ground. You can't rely on, oh, well, my uncle so-and-so from this tribe. And you don't have that luxury. We don't have that luxury. We only have what we feel, what we've researched, and what we dug into the ground, right?
Yeah, it's just like, being logical about stuff. I mean, logic tells me, obviously they were here. There's pyramids, there's hieroglyphics, there's things that, logically you can tell that shit happened. You know what I'm saying? It's not something like, that was made up. It's real facts. There's things that, there's shit, there's proof there.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I'm glad you're bringing that up because it goes way deep than, like, when we look at the Constitution, we go, oh, that's where life began, right? The Constitution, whenever 1776, and because we abide by those rules, and that's when the world started. But the world started for us and our reality on this continent thousands of years ago. And the Sunstone, according to what I've been told, is a culmination of knowledge from the tip of South America and North America. The eagle and the condor came together and they brought those knowledges together. In other words, there were diplomatic relationships between large tribes and large cities. Like the Europeans, they're doing their bullshit in Ukraine and having their wars and having this and that. We had our own system. But when white supremacy came, all of a sudden we became these stupid slaves. Where the fuck did they get to erase our 26,000 years of culminated wisdom, put into pyramids, put into documents, put into stone, put into art, put into symbols? How did that just get erased? Like all of a sudden we're stupid. Like we just carry bags for Spaniards now and white people forever and ever and ever.
And see, that's the great thing about finding out your identity, where you start learning, like, hey, you know what? Like, this is the way I feel. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm poor, or I was broke, or whatever. But now I'm using the same game that they used on us. Like I was saying, now I'm taking advantage of making money off of the banks. Like using their money to make my money. Investing in stocks and investing and fighting back financially. Taking back things in that way, the legal way, instead of trying to be like, oh, well, I can't do anything about it. Like but instead of being, I feel like, you know what, I'm not doing it right this minute because to a certain extent, I'm just doing it for myself, just me. Like I'm doing my thing so that if I ever do say something, people are like, oh, well, why aren't you doing it? I'll be like, I've been doing it. Right. I just wanted, to share this so that, we could get some shit going, in a good way. Right. Not in a hateful way where like, fuck everybody, we're going to kill everybody type shit, but in a cool way, you know what I'm saying?
I think, when we talk about our freedom and we talk about how we're supposed to be following or feeling disadvantaged, I never feel disadvantaged. I used to. Don't get me wrong. I used to feel, oh, damn, I'm broke, or I'm a part of the poor class, or whatever that psychological mindfuck they put me through white supremacy, through white superiority, because it has to have that. You have to have that to feel inferior. You're like, what the fuck? Why is he better than me? But
I agree.
As I grew and understood our story, I understood that poverty was something of a side effect when they take your mom away from you, when they fuck your dad up, right? When they put him in jail or they make him work 20 hours a day and they make your mom take you to school and you're gone from your mom for 8 hours a day because you go to a public school. And if you don't go to the public school, someone gets reported. And then boom, now all of a sudden you're in fucking foster care.
It's all a system, man. Like,
But what I'm trying to point out is that this system has always been this way since the inception, since they came here.
yes.
It's always been that way, but we learn to live with it and go, oh, well, let's just take our kid to school, you know, because if not, they're going to take him away. But they already took him away because he's there for 8 hours.
And you know what's crazy? It's just like
You see the teacher longer than you see your mom and dad.
definitely, and it's just like anything. You're at work more than you are with your family.
Yeah.
You know, you're at work sometimes 12 hours a day. How long are you at your house?
Yeah.
Just
That's
like
why I
maybe like
decided
2,
to
3
be an
hours.
independent entrepreneur, so I could say, fucking, you're coming to work with me and you're going to sit right here on my lap. You know?
Not only that, but you're building for the future. You're you know, this thing is not for right now. It's for later on. You know, so that the way I see it now is now that I'm getting older, it's like I'd rather work hard now that I can move, I can fucking do shit, I could drive, I could do that, so that, you know, another 8-10 years from now, I'm gonna be chilling, kicking it, just fucking collecting. You know, that's my goal. I don't want to be fucking breaking my back and fucking struggling like, oh man, I can't pay my rent, or I don't have a house, or I don't have this, I don't have that. Now I'm just telling myself, whatever you want, you can do it. It's just all up to you. It's like, you know, it's hard. It's hard because every day is a fucking struggle just to even get up and go to work, dog. But at the same time, I tell myself, hey, you know what? You can never get to where you want without a challenge in life. You know what I mean? But this is all, you know, and it's just like anything for me in life. I always like don't stay in one place. I try to be like, okay, I'm gonna study about my culture. I'm gonna study about, you know, recycling, about composting, about, you know, financial, you know, finances, about credit. You know, it's about making myself like a whole person versus me just like, oh, I'm gonna be a fucking a revolutionary guy, and I'm just gonna protest about shit. Fuck no, I'm gonna learn about finances too, so that I can see, okay, how these fools working, where are they getting their money, how are they buying their shit, you know, their ammunition, their tanks, this and that. You know, it's the back part of it as well, not just the front part of it. And you know, it's just like anything, it takes time, man. It's just doing it.
Yeah. Well, we're all on that journey, right? Of being free, right? Whether it could be like, oh wow, I have $1 million, I'm free, or 2 million, or whatever it is that people feel like they need to have to be free. But when we look at it very deeply, further than just the monetary gain, because all monetary gain does is give you comfort. In other words, I could go sit down at a table, someone can make me a dinner, bring it to my table, and all I have to do is just pick up a fork and eat it, right? That's comfort. And that's what monetary gain kind of brings you. And I've been reevaluating what that is, you know, and it's not the same for everyone. You know, definitely not the same for the universe that is LA Natives podcast and the people that listen to us. But I have to we are in a very, very, very important time in this earth. Because people are looking to certain countries to see how they control their population, right? And they're going, oh, wow, they do it really good. Maybe that should be everywhere now. And we should centralize things and centralize and centralize. And so then when they do that, they take more rights away. More and more rights away. Now, just because they took the rights away doesn't mean it's legal.
Of course not.
It's presumed legal because it's coming from an entity that has quote unquote authority. But if we go way back to the relationships between original tribes and white settler colonizers, they brought paperwork. They brought that language and they brought that writing system.
Of course.
So whatever documents that are drafted by them, colonial institutions, we'll call them, are totally sovereign and separate from native people. They don't apply to us. So what ends up happening is that they draft this document and then they go, this is the laws that we're going to abide by. And it gets translated to somebody who doesn't speak their language. And they say, look, they're going to follow these rules right here. And they promise not to hurt people. And they promise not to do things. And then they go, okay, cool. We make that agreement with you. You know, yes. And there's no signature between me and that paper. It's their signatures going, yeah, we're all going to follow these laws. But then all of a sudden, grandpa dies, dad dies, and the kid's left over. Now that kid has to follow those rules because he has no idea of his sovereignty. Yes. We got to remember, as Native people, none of their paperwork applies to us. And you're gonna go, well, wait a minute, you need a driver's license and you need a this and you need a that. Yeah, I do. In their reality.
Yes.
In their reality. But really, in really reality, I could drive that car until someone stops me. Exactly. And then ask me for it. And that could be fucking years from now, months from now, or minutes from now.
And it's just like you say, it's like they make it so hard for you you gotta be a part of the game. You don't want to have a license, you don't get to cash a check. You don't get to fucking go into this club. You don't get to do certain shit because we want you on our system, you know. And there's other ways too that, you know, for me, I try to do that for the longest time too. Not drive a car or not fucking have a license or, you know, go to that extreme and say, fuck it, dog. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna fucking abide to your fucking rules. But then it gets to a point where I was like, damn, dog. It's like,
can't cash a check.
I gotta do it. I gotta do it. But then I tell myself, you know what? You know, I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna be a minimalist and just do the basics and use the system to my advantage. Mm. You know, like insurance.
Well, that's
and fucking, you know, all these companies that you're paying, like the government. Hey, fuck, I need my fucking unemployment money. Why am I gonna go work when you owe me that money? Uh-huh. You know, that's my feria, whatever. Or, you know, certain things, like I said, at your job, hey, I got 3 days of fucking sick day. Nobody wants to take them. Mm. Why? Mm. You're sick. Fucking get a sick day. Who gives a fuck? Like, hey, dude, I'm not coming on Friday. That's it.
Right.
They're like, oh, that's because I can't. You know, and that's kind of like how I grew up. With, oh, you got to go to work. You're sick. You got to go.
Right.
And
push it.
Dude, I don't have to. Like, I'm sick. Fuck, I'm going to call in. Hey, you know what? This is what happened. Or even like the insurance. People don't want to use their insurance. What kind of insurance? I don't know. Like, call your fucking fool. They'll give you money for that shit. Mm. They don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, why? Why are you paying all this fucking money? Hey, that's the first thing I'm doing. Hey, this is what happened. You guys need to send me some feria because, you know, that's what I'm paying you for. Mm-hmm. You know, and taking advantage of certain things that you know, that are there already. Like your job, you know, like there's certain people that they work making cakes or they work at a shop. Hey, you know what? I'm going to learn doing this. Hey, let me do a fucking side hustle on the side right here. Let me fucking bake my own little cakes real quick on their time. Hey, these are for me. Go over here, sell them for a dozen, whatever.
Absolutely.
Make your feria with their feria, with their things, you know, because that's what you're getting paid for too. Is you know, study the craft. That's why I tell people, hey, you might not like working there, but get to know it. Ask people, hey, what is this for? How much is that? Learn their shit. Learn how they're running their shit. Especially if it's a great company, if they got fucking benefits. Use all that shit. A lot of people, I don't want to go to the doctor. You got the best fucking insurance. You don't want to go. It's not until you don't have that job no more. You don't have that insurance. You want to go to, guess what? It's fucking $2,000 now.
Yeah.
You know? And it's taking advantage of these
Well,
fucking programs.
it's definitely
too.
information, and I think
know?
that our people got taken advantage of for a very, very long time
And still are to a certain extent.
because they lack information. They're so far behind. They're not at. I mean, just looking in the community that I work in, which is on Whittier Boulevard at the Malinali shop, the juice bar that we have. But I look at all the not the migrant, the families and the community, and they're really not too savvy about, you know, anything that's going on. They still rely on cashing their check and, you know,
Cash.
doing things. They're so far behind. You know, it's not a good thing or a bad thing because it's our responsibility as a community to inform. Look, if we took advantage of the people that live in our community, and I'm talking about like the moms, the abuelas,
Man, there's so much knowledge out there.
and maybe they're not so savvy on their phone, but they all have a smartphone. And one of us took a time, and we're gonna do this at Malinali, but we're gonna do workshops for these individuals to learn how to use their smartphone.
That's good. That's
To
a good
learn
thing.
what a Bitcoin is. Not to go buy it, but
Just
at
to
least
understand
know
it,
what
yeah,
it is.
what's
Know
going
what's
on.
Bitcoin. What is Venmo? What is PayPal? What is
And then
what are
that's
these
great that
things?
you guys are doing that because, like, you know, now the street vendors are getting, you know, attacked and this and that, getting robbed for their cash. You know, now they're getting the Cash App, Venmo. How can they steal your money then?
Yeah,
You know, they might be able to steal your phone, but even then they can't get the cash out.
right.
You know what I mean?
So it's not really
It's
about
just
information.
certain little things, like I was saying, like using things to your advantage instead of just seeing things where like, fuck these, fuck it, I'm not gonna do shit. Where it's kind of like that's how I used to be for a long time. It's like, man, fuck this shit, fuck the system, fuck this, fuck money, fuck. But then I was like, you know what, fuck, dude, I'm fucking myself because you know I could be making my own little feria and helping people out, supporting businesses, supporting and using my ideas and doing what I'm saying instead of just fucking just saying like, oh, you should help businesses, you should do this. I'm doing it already. You know, I'm already
Well,
like.
it's definitely going
being
to
a
take our
part of that.
creativity to build our own community, to rebuild our community, to trust each other enough to buy products from each other, to what they call circulating the brown dollar, right? But we haven't even gotten to that stage because we're so separate. But in time,
true.
in time, in
And
time.
it just starts with you know, like I said, it's like they say, like the best thing that I researched, because you know I've always been researching on spiritual stuff and you know the culture stuff and you know just different things that you know to try to keep an open mind on not just me, but I sometimes zoom out on the world and be like, damn, this shit is going on a colossal scale. But then I'm like, damn, I want to. Because there was a time I wanted to go to Greenpeace and fucking do this and recycle and tell people what to do shit. Because you're so fucking worked up. But then I read this one quote that said that if you really want to change the world, you got to start with yourself.
Absolutely.
The way you treat people, the way you are, what you're doing in your life, what you're fulfilling in your shit, in your, you know, how are you being creative in your stuff, in your lane? And that's when I was like, damn, dude, I got a lot of work to do because my shit is fucked up.
Well, that
And I'm just being
Yo,
real, you know,
I
I'm
feel
not
the
perfect,
same
dog.
way. I feel
I'm
the
not
same
perfect,
way.
but at least I'm doing my best to be like, you know what? I'm taking some time to learn about the culture or learn about finances or learn about my job or, you know.
So tell me
music,
one
shit
thing.
like
So
that.
I also wanted to do something different, you know, just before we get off
Yeah.
here and kind of, you know, a lot of the listeners that listen to LA Natives podcast, they want me to have opinions about things, right? They always send me messages about, you know, what's your opinion about this or what is this, what is that? And what I like to do with my opinion is challenge people's perspective, right? So like you said, you do research about everything. You like to go, because, you know, as a writer, you want to do that. You want to go outside of whatever it is that if it's about the streets, well, I'm going to learn about Picasso and French Revolution or whatever the fuck it is, you know,
Yes.
you pick a subject. But I wanted to get your thoughts today, you too, Armando, about what people think the flat Earth theory is.
The flat Earth theory. I've seen a couple of videos on it, and to a certain extent, sometimes it makes sense what they're saying. Sometimes, at least to me, there's certain things, and sometimes I see myself personally the way that would work. It's just like, I don't know if this is the right analogy, but when you're in a video game, right? The only time you see the city is wherever you're at. How do you know that city's still back there when you're not looking that way? So, like, it's like you're in a video game.
Like,
so
once you pass the scene,
wherever you're going, that's where the scene's creating. So there's like, you can't really see the end of the earth because you keep, making more shit up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah,
an
I get it.
infinity thing.
Yeah.
It's like there is.
Well, there's people. There's this link there's this video that I played. Watch, check this video out. Oh, it's not that one. Yeah, it's this one.
The team traveled. I had been programmed, and this data did not work within the confines of that program. I had to see it for myself. 2 weeks later, I did. The team traveled by ship. The journey was incredibly long. The days kept getting colder. Eventually, we reached the wall. The first thing that struck me was that it was so irregular in height and shape. The illustrations and videos that Tom showed us seemed to illustrate a uniformity about it, but seeing it in person revealed that this wasn't the case. Some sections of the wall were sloped, while others were not. I would describe some areas to be 2 to 3 times the height of the Washington Monument, while others appeared to be much taller than that. On this particular visit, I did not leave the ship and therefore did not see things from atop the wall, but I can confirm that the wall is gigantic and appears almost infinite. This just scratches the surface of my experience and observations. While 99% of my work was performed from behind a desk, I saw things and learned things that would blow your socks off. The first question is whether the Earth is flat. It is. The second question is whether the world as we know it is surrounded by an ice wall. It is. The third question is what is beyond the ice wall? We have a tiny sliver of the answer to that question, and the little bit that we know is astounding. I've kept this to myself long enough. I'm tired of the lies. Mostly, I'm tired of seeing the wrong people prosper because of those lies. I need help. I want to get this story out, and I need to do so safely. I'm not keen on being locked away for violating my security clearance. I expect to be vulnerable to harassment or harm by private individuals, foreign governments, and probably my own government as well. I'm writing this from a laptop that I purchased with cash 2 years ago and haven't used until earlier this week. I am in a parking lot outside a motel using their free Wi-Fi. I've gone over this message in my mind for years. I thought about posting to YouTube or sending it to media outlets, but I can't get myself into a situation where I've given up my freedom so that a total of 100 people can hear my story and disregard it. I am not a paranoid person, and I do not live my life in fear, but I don't believe in taking unnecessary risks. I knew that I might someday need or want sound evidence to back up my story. Photos can be fake, documents can be forged, witnesses can perjure. I'm not about to let myself be dismissed as a lunatic or a liar. So let me ask you, what would you do? I did something, and it doesn't involve photos. I have verifiable proof of my journey and where it led, but a premature disclosure or release could undermine my ability to authenticate it. I hope to soon be in a position where I can disclose it. I don't enjoy being cryptic. As the operator of a YouTube channel, I am hoping that you could offer some suggestions for getting this story out. My goal is to use the audience to get attention, but also to...
Okay, so
That is crazy.
So
I see.
So this video
There's
caught my
certain little
attention,
things
right? So it caught my attention because this person, I guess, went to Antarctica and started seeing this big ice wall, and you know, his perception was that I'm gonna find the truth about the world, right? And what I'm trying to challenge and what I'm trying to bring to the LA Natives podcast is that we never really had a global, like, indigenous people never went, oh, the globe, right? And if you really look and study the Mexica calendar or the Aztec, sunstone or the Tonalmachiot, it's flat.
It's not like
It's
a
not a
sphere.
globe.
It's not a sphere.
It's flat. Right. But then they talk about ice walls. And I'm not saying that the earth is flat. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that the Mexica say that it's flat. I'm not saying that because people will get all crazy and, look at he thinks it's flat. That's not what I'm saying.
It's a flat earther.
What I'm saying is it's impossible for one person or a group of people to figure that out because it's unprovable.
Professor Yuval Noah Harari, thank you very
It's
much.
unprovable. It's something that they picked and said, well, let them prove me wrong. Right? Like this guy did his whole dramatic fucking video about, I went to the ice wall. I saw it for myself. It's there. I know it. But did he take the fucking trip and follow the wall all the way around the fucking globe? He didn't do that. He went to a section in Antarctica and saw a big ass fucking ice wall glacier and said, and he surmised his imagination to
You
go.
can kind of compare it to, for thousands of years, people have been trying to figure out the spirit. You can't see it. How do you prove it's there? You know what I'm saying? It's like you say, you
can't disprove it.
You can't fucking say, oh, it's not true, but also you can't say it is true.
Right.
Because,
Because the first reaction when you sat there, you're like,
this is different.
hey, oh, wow, wait, this guy's making some
'Cause
sense.
It kind of reminds me of the Truman Show. I don't know if you've seen that movie with Jim Carrey.
I have not seen that movie.
Where it's like, he's like in a TV show, but everybody's supposedly real.
Uh-huh.
But then he tries to run away. He wants to leave that. He wants to go to another state or another country, but he can't leave because the TV show, he's been bred since he was a kid there, since he was a baby. So he doesn't know any other town but there. But it's called the Truman Show. It's like a TV show.
I've heard of the movie, yeah.
So at the end, Jim Carrey is like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm trying to get the fuck out of here, but he can't catch a plane. Like, everybody's like stopping him from leaving. Finally, he gets on a boat. They're like, hey, turn the water up. Turn the sun, put the sun up.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, oh shit, like these fools are controlling the weather, everything. Till he gets to a point where he gets to a wall and then fucking the boat like goes through the wall kind of, and he's like, what the fuck is this? Is this a fucking movie set? You know what I'm saying?
Fun.
So he fucking goes through the door and that's when the movie ends. It doesn't show you like how does he see it now that he figured out that his whole life is a fucking movie or a TV show.
Right.
Kind of like, that's kind of like the way I feel when you see like the flat earth, the moon, the stars. It's like, who knows if this shit's real? I can't prove it for myself.
Right.
I got to take your word for it.
Right.
You know what I'm
like,
saying?
No one has invested money like in, and they say, oh, well, the government did it. And maybe they have. Who knows? Because if here's the thing. We all have, just because we see a map in a book, we automatically go, oh, that's truth. Oh, shit, that's what it looks like. Africa looks like that, and I know there's satellite images, and I'm not trying to say that some of those pictures are not real or whatever. What I'm trying to say is that the perception of us, or even the greatest adventurer or the greatest person in the world that went and spent all kinds of money to figure out this question, would never solve that answer and could never prove it to a mass of people, right?
Yeah.
Because the world is bigger than you. So then people get caught up in these theories and believe it as truth, and that the this and that and the other. And I don't know, I just felt like we have to challenge our perspective. Not to say that I don't have here's my answer to flat earth. I don't know if it's flat, and I don't know if it's round, because it's way far beyond my conception.
I mean, there's certain things that I like to think about, and I'm like that. I'm like, like same thing, like certain questions that you don't have the answer to, like what's gonna happen when I die type shit.
Yeah.
But then I start bringing myself back to the moment where I'm like, does that really fucking matter? Because I'm still fucking here. I'm still trying to struggle. I'm still got to do whatever the fuck I got to do now.
Right.
Whether, like, there's war in the Ukraine, does that mean I don't get to work tomorrow? Does that mean that fucking,
Right.
you know,
How does it affect
I
you?
could fucking fuck people up and go rob a bank and shit? You can't. It's just like shit still got to go the way it's got to go. And the only way I see it sometimes, I tell myself, is like, the only shit is the individual. Like, truth is in the individual.
Absolutely.
Wherever the individual thinks it's truth, that's true to them. You know, there's
True.
certain things that you're like, dude, I've been there. It's like, it's logic sense. Like, no, that they're like, I don't believe it. Though.
Right.
I'm like, oh, all right. Shit,
Well, it's
that's
just
it.
to me though it becomes the sense of it's always for me as an indigenous individual, as someone who's fighting for indigenous rights and understanding the concepts of living in harmony with the earth, because that's what it means to be
Definitely.
Mexica or Aztec.
Yes.
You know, it all comes under the guises of white supremacy or white opinion,
Yes.
right? And how they have to find out the truth about everything, because when they do, they will be superior to you.
And not only that, and this is why I like you have the show, is because now I'm hearing certain facts and certain things from somebody that looks like me, from somebody that's part of that, where I've noticed, and you know, the certain things that when I try to research about the Aztecs, about the Mayan, about even the Egyptians, anything that is fucking culturally old is never being taught by that people.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it's taught by a white person.
It's always like a white scholar dude that he's the one going in there finding all the meanings and they kind of like let him into different shit where the real fools, they can't even get in there. And these fools, how do you know they're translating it the right way? Or how do you know they're not keeping certain things from you?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And it's just like anything.
Well, that's
you find
that-
something worth using, you're gonna keep it for you so that you can stay in power, so you can have that advantage. And in reality, there really is no advantage in real life, the way I feel it, because you're gonna die anyway. You don't get to fucking outlive me. I don't get to outlive you either. It's like that part is done. Like, so what is it gonna, you know? But there's people that's the way they feel. They have to have that power and or that knowledge to make them feel like, hey, I'm a part of something bigger. You know what I mean? But
Right.
in reality, it's like nobody's fucking gets to escape. It's like they say, life is so risky, you'll never get out alive. So why not take risks?
Right.
You know, why not fucking question shit?
Right.
Why do you always just have to do what they say or feel like, oh, this is the right thing?
Right.
Like, fuck it, dude. Just do what makes you happy. And at the same time, you know, if it's not going to hurt anybody and you're still, you know, being responsible, if you have a family and all that stuff too, it's not about just like, oh, I'm going to quit. Now my kids, they don't have a house and fucking.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's just like anything. Just planning shit out. But
Well, to be informed and to understand and to challenge perspective and to not get caught up in these loops of trying to find out certain realities that can't be proven, you know,
That's true.
could be a distraction. Not
To a certain
if
extent.
if it's a hobby, man, and you want to find that out, that's like
great.
on you. That's great. But because everyone has a right to spend their time however they want to. There's no this and that. But there was one thing that Admiral Byrd said about Antarctica that stuck into my mind and really kind of challenged my perspective from the ice wall and you know the flat Earth, and it's like, whoa. It just made me think bigger than NASA's picture or a school globe. It made me think bigger than that, right? Because when they show you a globe, it kind of traps your mind because you go, "Oh, cool! I know what the Earth.
They already put
I know
it
what
in
the
their mind.
yeah, I know what the Earth looks like. It's a round thing. You know, it's this round thing." But Admiral Byrd had mentioned, and it's been on TikTok and IG, and Admiral Byrd is not. It's not something. It's very popular right now in this type of thought. But he said that there was a landmass as big as America that has not been nobody's ever went and just because they don't have the resources to go there. Because if you go deep, you're gonna need gas. You're gonna run out of gas, or what are you gonna do it on foot? Yeah. You know the challenges of
it's like a new terrain. How are you gonna know how to move through it?
Exactly.
If you
so
don't know
it's
what
unexplored.
Yeah.
As big as this landmass,
I believe it.
Right? No, he saw it. He saw it. He's an admiral. They paid. The government sent him there on purpose, right? Because the Nazis were going to Antarctica too, and
I heard about
they're finding a lot of things there, right? But when he said that there's a landmass that hasn't been, discovered, the size of the United States, or let's just say half of that, the United States, that's a lot of land. And what goes beyond that? Is there even more? Because we're just taking the word of these institutions that are right now at this point breaking themselves apart because they're going, well, we can't keep up with the lie. We can't say they fucking, they have to dismantle everything.
I think that now is like the age of information now.
Right.
There's so much information out there now that, now you just, sometimes you get over flooded. Like, you don't know what to believe. Like, this makes sense, that makes sense. And then, like I said, it comes back to the individual. It's like, okay, well, is that benefiting me? Like, is that helping me out in any way? Like, cope with
No, it's just that some people will talk to you about it for like fucking days.
No, and I'm that type of person.
The flat
too,
earth
man.
and the fucking, and it's cool. It's like good theories, man. Good makes sense.
But just about anything because you get caught up in like for me, I get excited about learning new shit and be like, oh damn, that's pretty interesting. That's crazy about the flat earth because it does make sense because you're surrounded by the north and the south poles. They're both fucking cold as fuck.
But we're taking other people's word for it. We're just going, oh yeah, you're right.
You said so.
But whose word are we taking when it comes to them telling us the earth is round?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like we're taking the word of people
like,
who
do you believe we landed on the moon?
No, absolutely
I
not.
don't believe that
don't
shit.
believe
We're
that.
a fucking mile away, bro. I saw that
I don't.
fakeness. Like, how the fuck in the 60s and 70s we went out into the moon
I know.
with that type of technology?
But okay,
hell no.
Here's what people don't like. I'm just a history buff, dude, and I looked at the documentary by Oliver Stone. Yeah. I forgot the name of it. Anyways, I saw a debate during that documentary that was very intriguing because it was Kennedy and Nixon, and they were debating. Kennedy was debating about Cuba, right? He was trying to talk about Cuba. And then Nixon flips the switch and starts talking about TV. And the TV, we need to go towards the TV because every home should have a TV. What better way to inform our people, right? And then boom, TVs are in every home. And guess what? We get to go to what? The moon. Why? Because we couldn't disprove that they didn't go to the moon. Same thing as flat earth. We cannot disprove that it's flat or round or whatever it is. Now pictures are surfacing. People are really analyzing the photos. But how long has it been? At the time it happened.
About 50, 60 years.
Right. At the time it happened, when people were looking at that fucking TV, they were going, damn, look, we could we're on the moon. And they're fucking really believing this shit.
And not only that, but it's it's just like everything, according to science and all this other stuff that these guys supposedly prove. It's like, if you step out of the atmosphere, your shit is turning inside out. So how the fuck are you going to stop that? If it's like you're saying, you've never been in that terrain.
Yeah.
How do you know what to expect? Well, you threw 3 other people out there and then you've seen that and then you try to reverse fucking engineer that shit or what?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How are you getting on top of that?
There's
how
just
you
no
keep-
way to disprove
I mean,
it. Because to disprove it, you would have to have a lot of money. You would have to go, you know what? I don't think fucking NASA's telling me the truth. And I'm going to back it up with my fucking millions and millions and millions and millions. No one's going to do that.
It's like the Truman Show back again. Because what if you did? What's going to happen? Like, oh, I guess the moon's not real. Or I guess this is not real. But
It just is. And it's also,
not really
it was
change too much. But
what I'm trying to point out for the audience is that debate really, really struck a nerve with me. It put a big piece of the puzzle together because then Nixon was really kind of advocating for the manipulation of a population,
oh yeah,
right? They're going to manipulate us through this new technology. What is the new technology? Television, right? And now we're on cell phones, and now we're on 5G, and now we're on these technologies that lead the narrative of an agenda. What is that agenda? That's for us to be informed about. But if we go back to the beginning of our first encounters with European settlers, we created agreements that we did not sign, we didn't need to sign, because that was your agreement to us that you will keep yourself in line.
yes.
That's not us. We didn't have paperwork. We didn't go, okay, cool. Now let's sign this agreement so you could see because you could follow it. If not, I'm gonna sue you or whatever the fuck. That we didn't have that. We sat in a circle. We went with our
Handshake
tribes.
and-
We went with our
and
warriors.
your word.
We sat with their councils, and they said, "Oh, look, this is the agreement. Okay, you're gonna follow this agreement. Yeah, okay. Well, you guys better follow this agreement, right?" And then they broke every agreement because they, murdered our grandfathers. Everyone who protected us got murdered or lied to, I'm talking in a very general sense. The story of indigenous people. So, the more information we have, the more questioning of perspective that we have, the better chance that our future generations have a chance.
Of course.
Why? Because I want to share this other one, Armando.
Of course, man.
This is a very important
Is it the
one.
video?
It's one of the links that I have. So
That's
Is it this one right here? The one with the woman and the guy sitting down?
no, because that one has to be queued up to the right moment where he's talking about hacking a human. But what I'm trying to point out, watch, is I think it's this one. No, it's
Hi,
not this one.
COVID.
It's not that one. That one's a COVID one that I wanted to share with one, but I want to see if it's this one.
Folks, there is a new world order that's being created.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations.
Future
a
generations.
New world order. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order. It is a big idea. A new world order. Such is a world worthy of our children's future. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
Children's
and that's
future.
why I wanted to speak to you today about the new world taking shape around us. About the prospects for a new world order now within our reach. I'll be talking in some detail about the possibility of a new world order, the quest for the new world order. New world order. The new world order really is a tool for addressing a new world of possibilities.
The President George Bush has taught time and time again.
So I'll stop it right there with just George Bush saying that, right? The reason I bring that video up is because he mentioned a few times our future generations, right? And the New World Order is a set of agendas and laws
yes.
that they're going to push towards the population. But that doesn't mean that those laws are legal, right? In the sense of, or moral, of any kind of nature. They're just going to push you. In other words, the presumption of authority. We're presuming that the government has authority over us, right? And I'm talking about us, meaning indigenous people, right? When I challenge their documents, their agreements, like, in other words, if we made an agreement, me and you, and you broke that agreement, well, then I'm going to take back my shit.
Of course.
Because you broke the fucking agreement.
Yes.
But it seems like they could break 500 treaties and have no consequence. Our job as future people that are making, like my children and my children's children, is to educate them about those agreements that they broke. Because once you educate about the agreements that they broke, that makes the contract null and void, and everybody gets back what they said they were going to do. And what we want is our sovereignty, and that's all we want. I don't want 40 acres and a mule. I don't want reparations. I don't want shit to do with them. I just want my sovereignty back, right? And what does that mean? Well, you go to work, right?
Yes.
You get a paycheck?
Yes.
A regular paycheck?
Yes.
And then there's deductions to the paycheck.
Of course.
Absolutely. People don't understand that when we use our Social Security to get a job, get a check, then get deductions, that we're pledging our children. It's like if I told you, hey, bro, when you grow up, I'm going to pay you so that you could pay half of your earnings to someone else. Mm-hmm. What are you going to say as a kid? You're going to be like, fuck that, I don't want to do that. I don't have to go to work 100% of the time and then pay 52% of that to someone else that I don't know. And, but you won't get no benefits. But you won't get no this. You won't get no that.
Of course.
You never got that. You never, ever got that. It wasn't about that. People who set up these structures were militaries that were taxing the population.
And they still are. It's like right now is probably it's probably right now is the best time they could prove that it's working. That it's worked all this time. You know, because like they just been getting better at it, at the game. And we've been getting worse at it. We've kind of been like, fuck.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like,
you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, but now I feel that people are awakening again. Like, you know what? We had enough of this shit. Why are you guys feel like you're in charge of something that's not even yours?
there you go.
Why are you the ones telling me what the fuck to do? When we've been here.
Yeah.
For thousands of years.
And that's the questioning that we're talking
about. And it's
about.
like, we need a black president, nothing against black people, nothing, or we need a white president, whatever. But there is, it kind of like boggles my head because people are not like, why don't we have an indigenous president? Or not just indigenous, but like a native president that's part of this country, that's been here for thousands of years. And the way I tell people is like, it's just like going to Japan. There's not a white guy over there fucking running Japan. There's not a white guy over there running North Korea. There's not a white guy running fucking Vietnam or China. You know what I'm saying? Why the fuck are they running us? Why the fuck are they running Africa over there too? You know what I'm saying?
It's colonialism.
Exactly. And it's made to be hidden as well. And like you're saying, like they give you just enough.
Well,
so we don't say shit and they bury shit certain ways where it gets to the point where whenever you do speak up, you're the bad guy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're going against America. You're going against the land of the free. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of bashing what you're supposed to be grateful for.
But that's where you again challenge your perspective. Because you're assuming that, or a person would take the position that, oh wow, this is the land of the free. You're talking about America. Why don't you go back where you came from and all that bullshit, right? But you're going under the presumption that you kept your word.
Yes, of course.
They didn't keep their word once. Not once. Not once did they keep their motherfucking word.
And that's,
so how do you, if I'm your friend and I always lie to you, how do I still have credibility with you? It almost seems like, be careful because Ruben's kind of cool, man. You don't want to lose his friendship, do you?
The way I see it is it's become like a bullying type of thing where like, okay, you don't want to agree with us? We're fucking you up. We're going to fuck your family up. We're throwing you in jail. You know, we're taking away all your shit.
Yeah.
You want to fuck with us? Throw them in the fucking
But
can.
this is the land of the free, though. Like, this is the land of the brave. This is the illusion or that picture that the American dream. All of us are created equal. They'll argue that fact. The most educated people that come from the most educated institutions will argue that fact when they broke every single treaty. They brought Africans as mules, as people who worked for them. They didn't pay them. They abused them. They raped them. Yet they get to go, oh, well, America's so equal. America, we automatically, it's like that's why Nixon was so adamant about TV.
Well, yeah,
Because then they paint the narrative. Look how good we are.
and not only that, but now that I'm more aware of stuff, it's like look at every advertisement, look at every fucking movie, every TV show, every fucking movie you go watch. It's all based on white people. It's all a programming put on us. Like, hey, we gotta act more like them. And the only thing, like I say, for me, this is just my thing, is like I take advantage of those things. Like, I trip out on how white people, even if they're homeless, they're like, they'll walk up and fucking act like their own shit. And it's like, why the fuck am I not acting that way?
Yeah.
Where's my confidence?
Yeah.
I'm the one that should be fucking acting
Absolutely.
that way.
Yes.
Fucking
agree.
walk in like, I own this motherfucker. What's up?
Yeah.
Not go to a beach where like everybody's white and you're like, oh man.
They're embarrassed or you.
Fuck that. You should be embarrassed to be in my shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's where, like I said, that's where my mentality has changed, where the identity comes in. It's like, I don't give a fuck who's here.
Mm-hmm.
This is my shit. I mean, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And in that confidence where I was telling my homeboy the other day, it's like, white people, they don't give a fuck. They'll go to the hood. And you know how they fucking survive? Hey, you tell me something, I'll call the cops right now. You know what I'm saying? And they don't give a fuck. Us, we don't do that shit. Dog.
Yeah.
We don't go to a white neighborhood and be like, I'll call the cops on you.
Right. Yeah, right.
You don't even go there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But and why not?
Right. Well,
You know what I'm saying? That's the way I feel like they could come to our shit. Why can't we go to their shit?
it's come to a point though.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
and not in a fucked up way, but in a way where, we're doing our own shit now. Like, certain things like Master P and these guys that are building for their community or starting big businesses where they can give opportunities and, create different venues and
It's the way I see
revenues.
it in a metaphoric way. It's like this blue lighter, right? Is something you stole from me. Mm-hmm. And every day I see you, you have that fucking blue lighter. And I know it's mine.
Yes.
Right? But you acting like it's yours.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like it's right there. But we don't have the courage to go, fuck this shit. This shit was mine.
And you know what?
Because you said, because we made an agreement that so-and-so or whatever the agreement was, that's why you have that lighter, right? But then you just took the lighter and didn't do anything on your side. So you automatically broke the contract, and that's what I'm trying to challenge perspective, that if we're indigenous people, the reason why we won't ever ascend to presidents and senators and without being really, brought up to like Obama, where he's fucking like, I'm practically born into the system, that particular elite group, which he has royal blood or whatever the blood line is. We'll never ascend to those positions because we lost the war. We lost wars. We got conquest. No one will ever go, oh, look at the brilliant guy that they conquered, because white people have this superiority complex that their great-great-grandfather kicked the shit out of my great-grandfather, and that's why they're better, right? But my great-grandfather didn't even fight with you because he knew.
Not only that, you just stabbed him in the back. And fucking
But
fucked him up.
there's another story too, though, that it's not cut and dry. The conquest is a very complex conversation. It'll probably take us about 100 years of strict, digging into the books with the scholars and everyone to decipher what really happened, because we can't take history books or college institutions' word for it, because you broke that word a long, long, long time ago. You broke every single word. As an indigenous person, you broke every single word, every single promise, every single agreement, every single thing you said you were going to do, you broke it. And when you do that, you lose credibility, so you don't have jurisdiction. How can you possibly now take me to court and really sit me in front of a judge? But if we do the research and research the Republic of America versus the United States corporation of America, then we start going down a different rabbit hole, right?
And it's just like anything in life, man. It's like it just takes it takes time. It takes people to step up. It takes individuals to, bring certain things up. It's just like, I feel sometimes like we're like a butterfly, like a monarch. A butterfly only lives a certain time, and it can only travel a route a certain part of it before it dies. And then their kids are born, and then they continue the journey. And then it goes, endlessly, infinite. And then that's how I feel sometimes. Like, my ancestors, they were doing certain things, and then it got to this point, and then that was their life. Or they got killed, or they got old, whatever, and then I picked it up, and then and I might not be my relative, but it's certain things that I've learned about different other people, and like nowadays too.
I like that explanation.
There's youngsters nowadays where I'm like, damn,
I didn't know that about butterflies.
These guys are freaking. These guys know more shit than I do. You know what I mean? That's dope. But you guys are young. They already speak Nahuatl. They're like up on game. I was like, Dad, these guys are fucking.
That's what I appreciate about the next generation, is that when I met
warriors, man.
Yeah, when I met Sunchild, like one of a really good, brother that came to my music, was a fan of my music. Man, he was a vegan. He was like super dedicated to the gym. This brother was like zero fat. He meditated. He did everything that we studied about. He did.
He was practicing.
He was doing it, and to the extreme.
Great.
And I felt so proud of the next generation going. The next generation is taking it to another level. It's going and it's accelerating. Exactly. But if you notice the clip that I played about George Bush and the New World Order, he mentioned the thing that I really want to implant into the community, into the heads of the community, is he said, future generations, right? Yeah. That they have to follow the rules that are going to be imposed for future generations. That reminded me of the doctrine of discovery when the Pope wrote that the children of the enemies of Christ, will be put into perpetual slavery. Perpetual slavery means forever. That means you win the lottery, you'll have fun, but you're going to go back to being a slave. Right? Even if you're the best entrepreneur and you get to a certain level, you'll understand that you're always a slave. Yeah. That's the mentality of white supremacy. That's the mentality that came from the Pope in the doctrine of discovery that morphed or mutated into manifest destiny. If you're using those principles to base your ownership of the land, you have very bad, how could I say this? You have a very bad contract on your hands that you're trying to present to people who are tired of it. Like you said earlier, you're like, we're tired of this shit. We want to teach people what is the answers that we need to know. And as we go, I like to think of it like this. I don't expect things to change in 20 years. I expect things to change in 100 years. And it's long way after me.
And you know what?
Like you said, the butterfly thing.
And you know what, though? But at the same time, I feel personally, like I said, I've been studying about, spirituality and about your spirit and learning on, like they say, is figuring out what is real, what is not real, what counts, what doesn't count. And then I put in this perspective is the only way and the only time I'm ever gonna find out is when I'm gonna leave this earth. That one last second, everything's gonna be explained. But it's just gonna be for me because I'm not gonna be able to tell nobody because I'm gone. But at least it got explained to me at that. And that's the only time you're made, and that's the only time, I guess, for me, the way I see it is that's the only time you're supposed to know the real shit and what was it about, is at that very moment. And right now I feel like, to a certain extent, I feel like I'm a slave to a certain extent, but then I tell myself, like, no matter what, I'm always going to be free in my own mentality inside myself. Like, I'm in agreement with me. Like, I'm cool with what I say to me. Whereas before, I wasn't comfortable with what I was telling myself. I'd be like, man, you're fucked up. You need to be this way. You need to. Whereas now it's like, hey, man, you're doing a good job. You're hustling. You're doing the best that you can. You might not be perfect, but hey, you're trying. Every single day, you're doing something different. And you keep pushing, even if it's not 110%. Sometimes 100% is just waking the fuck up. Other days, 100% is like I did a song, I fucking, I worked out, I ate good, I helped some people, I studied, I fucking, I burned some sage, I took a walk or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's, now I see it like, I don't mind being on my own no more. Like, whereas before I had to be around people like smoking, doing shit. Whereas now it's like, okay, who am I? Like, it comes back to, all these questions I had, like, about the indigenous people, the Spanish, and how all this shit came. That's good. Like you say, it's, like, great to find your identity. But then now I go back to me and it's like, okay, how are you going to use that to use it in your daily life? And it's hard, man. It's because, like we were talking about earlier, we're made to be the most unnatural people ever because we're forced to. Everything that we do is unnatural. The only time you do some natural shit is when you're fucking creating.
Absolutely, that's fact.
And that's the only time where it's a natural thing where you're like not forcing shit or oh, I have to go to work or I have to do this or you push yourself. It's like, hey, I'm gonna do whatever I want. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be free in that sense where at least I'm not a slave in my own body. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck it. I'm happy with who I am.
That's a great stance, Sicko Soldado.
Yeah.
That you couldn't say any better. We're at our 2-hour mark. We have a jam-packed house. Can you believe the Zero people are just sticking around?
That's great.
And
Shout out to everybody for
the chat is lit.
Well, shout out to.
We have Daniel Hawk in the building. What's up, Daniel?
No way, Daniel. What up, Daniel?
Damn,
Fucking
Daniel.
We need to
Daniel.
bring him back.
Totally.
Damn, Daniel.
He wants to talk about crypto with us, and let's do it.
Oh, that'd
Sweet.
be tight.
There it is. Crypto.
So,
That's a new thing.
Zero, any last words?
Well, thank you, Sicko Soldado, for coming,
Thank you guys for having me, man.
sharing your independent music grind, the stories, also your perspective as well, Because, remember, the LA Natives is just here to just have opinions. And, everyone, we have to learn to be sovereign in our own opinion. It's like what you're talking about. How am I going to apply this indigenous wisdom to my life? It's cool to know, but how am I going to apply it to my life? And what you were describing just a second ago was, doing your best, like the Toltec wisdom of Don Miguel Ruiz, doing your best. And doing your best will depend on how well do you take care of yourself. I mean, if you're going to, eat fast foods, not exercise, work 12 hours a day, your music's going to reflect. Your best is going to be different. You're going to give it your best, but you're going to only give it whatever you can because all these other distractions are in the way. So LA Natives was born to challenge that perspective, right? And to give you information that you can apply to yourself so that you can, on your own, as a sovereign individual, create this reality inside here. Because if you're going to institutions, if you're going to churches or family members to help you with this perspective, there has to come a time where you're going to create your own perspective. And that's why I brought up, the flat earth thing, because it's unprovable. And I also played the clip of George Bush because he's talking about our future generations. And what does that mean? It's a very broad statement, but it means a lot. That means they're going to follow whatever rules are enforced. So if they say universal income and they go, well, you're only worth $800 a month because you're fucking Mexican and that's all you deserve. That's a part of it. Because your great-great-grand, you may not fucking fall through that. You may be the one protesting going, fuck that. But your children's children will suffer that. And that's why he said future generations, right? We have a chance to have a new world order for future generations. So keep awareness alive in you.
Definitely.
Learn and absorb what you can. But most important, apply it into your life, right?
That's the key.
Apply it into your life. If you don't apply anything you learned into your daily life, like I wouldn't be here if I wasn't intermittent fasting. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't, doing Malinali superfoods and doing my music stuff too. I'm implementing all this information so that it could come out in my own truth, in my own reality, in my own sovereign way. Remember that we're all sovereign beings. And the message, maybe one of the messages in today's show, is to remember that we created agreements with European settlers and they broke every single agreement. So if they broke that agreement, then I'm taking back my wisdom, I'm taking back my agreements that I had with you, and I'm creating my new reality for future generations. See, I get to say it too. George Bush may have said it on TV and trying to implement this whole thing too, but we have a choice too. And when we are informed and we challenge our perspective and we take responsibility for our own reality, then things change. And I don't expect change to be overnight. I expect change, though, to happen in 100 years. And maybe one lifetime I'll be able to experience what that change is. Because the universe is harmonious. And if we walk in the way of our ancestors, to walk in harmony with Mother Earth and our experience, then the sadness and the happiness and all that comes together as one lifetime. Just like you mentioned, maybe you see it all at the end, that last second of life, you saw it all.
The whole reason of existence. And you know what? For me, I just want to get this out there too. It's like, it's about fucking up too.
Yeah.
You're not always going to be on 100% your game, but it's about not giving up.
Yeah.
And
learning.
Maybe today you fucked up by, not controlling your anger or your emotions or whatever. But fuck, tomorrow's another day. You could try it again.
Yeah.
Don't, just because you didn't do it yesterday doesn't mean you can't do it today.
And that's why
It's about getting back on it. You cannot, there's times for me, there's times where I don't go to the gym for 2 weeks, a month, or whatever. But then I'm like, you know what? Let me start again. Whereas, some people feel defeated. They'll never go back to the gym. They'll feel like, that's it. That was my run. my 2 months in. And it's okay. Like, hey, shit, if you quit, you come back at it.
Yeah.
It's just like with music. Hey, you might have quit, but hey,
Keep going.
Come back into it. Yeah. Come back down. Like, there's times where you take breaks or whatever. Come back. You don't have to completely quit.
Yeah.
It's just,
Well, that's
like
why
anything, man.
That's why I say
up, learning.
That's why I say that I don't want to see change happen overnight, because I know in overnight there's a lot of mistakes and learning and evolution. So yeah, 100 years from now, I know my people are going to be different. I know my people are going to be together. I know my people are going to go back to the truth of who they are and what their ancestors left them. Their ancestors left them wisdom. Their ancestors left them stone monuments to reference, to put them in a position equal with the stars, in the position of those stars. Because the stars are where we come from. It's a piece of us, right? So stay tuned. We'll see you next Wednesday. Tlasukamatli, Ometeo, Tonansi, Tonatu. Ometeo.